So you decided you're moving to South Carolina, just on the border of Charlotte, but you think there maybe is only 2 towns. Guess what? There are far more than that, and I am going to take you in this video through 4 tiny but mighty towns that have big opportunities, lower home prices, and some very decent commute times that might be right up your alley and outweigh 2 of the most popular towns that you've already heard of. South Carolina has so much to offer, especially just on the border of North Carolina and Charlotte. Most people that end up calling me about South Carolina start with Fort Mill, as Fort Mill is the #1 school district in all of South Carolina. But after a lot of discussion, they tend to notice and uncover after I talk to them that there is more than just Fort Mill and Rock Hill when it comes to the South Carolina areas just outside of Charlotte. So in this video, I'm going to take you through 4 amazing towns that are all right on the border of North Carolina, and some of which even offer lakefront options. Let's dive in. So the first one up on our list is York, South Carolina. Now York sits to the southwest, just outside of Charlotte over the border, and is a beautiful town. Now aside from the little quaint downtown itself, York is actually quite expansive. With a population of about 8,200 people, there are a ton of options when it comes to housing and land in this area. In fact, if you would like to have a little bit of land, this may be the #1 place to look in South Carolina, as land prices are far lower here and you're going to get far more than you would closer into Charlotte. Now, the median home price in this area is around $300,000 to $350,000, depending upon what you're looking for, and the median household income is about $48,000. Now, York is one of the farthest locations outside of Charlotte, so if you are commuting to Uptown, it's about a 45-minute drive, depending upon where you are in York. This is still pretty reasonable, especially for those of you that are coming from areas where you're already commuting an hour just to go 10 miles. In fact, York sits about 35 miles outside of Charlotte. Now, there are some positives and negatives, as with all towns. Here are some of the negatives when it comes to York. There are limited job opportunities here, so you are going to be commuting somewhere to work, but that is true with most of the people that live there. In addition, as I already mentioned, it is the longest commute of the 4 towns we're going to be talking about in this video today, with a 45-minute commute time without traffic. But here's some of the positives and why people flock to this area. 1, great home prices and plenty of land available. This includes lower cost of living and lower taxes being outside of the city. In addition, the cute little downtown has preserved so much beautiful architecture. It is a great little spot to spend a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And lastly, it is a smaller town, so there is a sense of community, and the community actually does host local events to continue to foster that. So is York for you? Well, let's check out the other 3 and you can make your final pick. Our second town on the list is Clover, South Carolina. Now, Clover, from a miles perspective, is quite larger than York, and it spreads all the way in to almost touch Lake Wylie, the lake itself. I specify that for a reason. We'll get to that in a minute. With a population of about 6,500 people, you are going to find, very similar to York, an opportunity to get homes that are absolutely gorgeous for jaw-dropping prices. In fact, I was shopping just last weekend with an amazing couple looking out in this area, and what you can find in the $700,000 range is absolutely stunning. Sitting on 1, 2, 3 acre lots, beautiful new construction homes with 3,500 square feet, all of this under $800,000. Now, if you have a tighter budget, that's okay. That's available as well. Median home cost in this area is also between that $350,000 to $400,000 range, but you can find homes that are a little bit more competitive. This is an area where we're finding a lot of expansion of more luxury homes because there's more land available and the proximity to Charlotte is pretty easy. Now, while the distance to Uptown Charlotte is just slightly smaller than York, you could possibly see some longer commute times, or just about the same. About 45 minutes is what's slated outside of your usual traffic times during rush hour, but truly there is enough going on between Clover, and Uptown Charlotte that you probably will never go to Uptown Charlotte unless you're commuting for work. Now, Clover doesn't necessarily have as cute of a little downtown area as York. It's a little bit more spread out. So you have fewer entertainment and shopping and dining options in this area. In addition, it definitely is a slower pace of life in this area, and it is more rural. So this might not suit everybody if you're looking for more of a hustle and bustle. But this area does offer lower property taxes, small town charm, and a tight-knit community. And one of its biggest benefits is its proximity to Lake Wylie for waterfront activities. In fact, you have to cross the lake in order to get into North Carolina, which is pretty cool. You could be anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes from the lake. Either way, that's pretty darn close. I'm 𝗖𝘀 with Living in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you've been thinking about moving to Charlotte or the surrounding suburbs, go ahead and subscribe below so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I love helping people just like you who are looking to move to Charlotte, North Carolina or relocate to another area town. So whether it's 9 days or 90 days from now, feel free to give me a text, a call, an email, or even set up a Zoom meeting. All of my contact information is in the description below. I'd be happy to make your move everything you want it to be. This takes us right into Lake Wylie. Lake Wylie and Clover butt up against each other, but while Lake Wylie is a fraction of the size of Clover, it has double the population. Part of this has to do with the location sitting right on the lake of Lake Wylie. That's right, there's the town of Lake Wylie, and then there's the lake, Lake Wylie, and they sit right on top of each other. Now with that, Lake Wylie is that town in between Clover and Charlotte. So you have to pass through Lake Wylie on your way in, making a lot of people not wanting to go all the way out to Clover. They usually stay a little bit closer into town. Population of Lake Wylie is about 12,000 people. With a median home cost about $475,000, the prices of Lake Wylie tend to mimic Charlotte far more closely. Now, along with being closer to Charlotte, you also have a higher median household income. At about $95,000, this also mimics a little bit closer to Charlotte. Now, when we're talking about commute times, that's also why some people that are looking at Clover end up in Lake Wylie, because the commute time is far shorter if you're working in or around Uptown Charlotte. While the distance is about 20 miles, it's about a 30-minute drive, which is really not too bad. Now, this would be the same if you were headed to Ballantyne or a little bit further up towards University. You'd have very similar commute times. University would be a little bit farther. Now, I point these areas out because they're the main 3 top business centers in the Charlotte area. Now, while Lake Wylie has limited availability to public transportation, just like York and Clover, it does have the proximity to Charlotte, which makes it easier. So Ubers are definitely a thing. Another thing that may make you shy away from Lake Wylie are the home prices, which obviously are a little bit higher than you'd see in some of the areas that are smaller in the South Carolina region. But one of the biggest draws to this area is proximity to Charlotte, proximity to the water activities on Lake Wylie itself, because it sits right on it, and that is a huge draw. But it also has really close proximity to Tega 𝗖𝗁 as well as Fort Mill. So if you're looking for shopping, dining, and entertainment, it's right there. In addition, it's right over the lake from the Steel Creek area, which, well, is a pretty major hub here in Charlotte as well when it comes to lots and lots of shopping options. Now, if Lake Wylie isn't for you, you're still feeling South Carolina, you want to be closer into Charlotte, but you may also want some lake options. That's right. I have the best town that you've never heard of, Tega 𝗖𝗁, South Carolina. Located just over the North Carolina border across from the Palisades on Lake Wylie and next to Fort Mill. I know that's a lot. You saw the map. With that location in mind, Tega 𝗖𝗁 is a small, tight-knit community of about 11,000 people. Now, while many of the homes that are there were built between the 70s and 80s, and many of them have been renovated, there are a few new construction options in the area. In fact, there is a new development that's going in that will have multi-use brewery that's going to be put in there, restaurants, as well as townhouses and some single-family homes, about 150 homes being built in the Tega 𝗖𝗁 town. Now, the actual area of Tega 𝗖𝗁 is pretty small, only about 3.5 square miles. It's primarily residential, and you will end up in Fort Mill if you're looking for anything from an entertainment or restaurant standpoint, for the most part. Now, in comparison to the other 3 small towns we talked about, not only is the proximity to Charlotte far greater, as it's only about 20 miles and about 25 minutes from Uptown Charlotte, but it also has a higher median income of about $120,000. In addition to that, you're also going to see the median home values far higher at 514. When compared to these other towns, it might look way off, but a lot of this has to do with proximity and the kind of homes that you're going to find. In addition to that, in these median prices are a lot of lakefront properties. That's right, Tega has a lot of little canals that go all the way up and around, so there actually is a lot of availability for lakefront property. Now, one of the major cons about this area is limited commercial developments, as I mentioned, so not really much shopping or dining at all to speak of. In addition, you do have some higher taxes than you do in neighboring areas because of proximity. However, why are people flocking to Tega? Well, because it has beautiful scenic lake opportunities, a strong community vibe, and yes, they do have community activities, and they have excellent recreation facilities, including kayak and boat launches, parks, and golfing. So I'm not sure where you landed on this list, whether you'd prefer lower home costs and more land way further out from Charlotte, or if you want to be right on the lake in the heart of everything when it comes to entertainment and shopping, you pick. But there's plenty of other options out there aside from Fort Mill and Rock Hill. So I hope this answered some of your questions and maybe it created more. Drop those questions below or feel free to reach out to me. If you're thinking of moving to the area, I get calls, texts, and emails and Zoom invites from people just like you on a daily basis. People looking to move to the area that want a helping hand. Well, if that's you, whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, whether you're moving across the world, across the country, or just across town, all my contact information is in the description below. Shoot me a call, a text, an email, or schedule a Zoom appointment, and I will help make your move exactly what you want it to be. Until next time, I look forward to showing you around town.